Hey guys. So I've had a lot of people ask me in game, like, how do you make so much money? You've only been playing for a month, and I have like 300 million in items and stuff. And even if I did tell them, they wouldn't be able to understand it very well. So I figured I'd just make a video explaining about the auction house and teach people how to properly bid on the auction house, maybe correct some mistakes if you're making any, and give people a good guide so they can start making money. So yeah, let's get into it. Cool. So here we are. Here we are. We're at lobby or hub. I'm gonna change to F5 mode. There. Okay. So the auction house is here. There's a actual way to bypass the function, having to go all the way here, and the way you would do that is you would buy a booster cookie. You can, as a free to play player, to buy a booster cookie, you would go to the bazaar right over here. Booster cookie. Okay. It costs 820k right now ish to 850. So that's a lot, right? But on the plus side, each booster cookie you get gets you 4,800 bits. Let me just change the mode here. So I have yeah. So the bits, you would go here to spend your bits. At the bit shop, you can buy two god potions with 4,800, and the god potions sell about. Let's check. Um, the god potions would sell for 3.4, so that's almost 700k. So it really only costs you about 150 to 200k, and it gives you all these perks. I'll show you the perks really quick. Here, booster cookie. You get bits, so you get 4,800 bits. You get skill XP, magic find, keep coins on death, permafly on island, AH and bazaar, and that's the one we care about. So basically, what I would do if I wanted to avoid lag while I'm doing auctioning, I can just go to my own Skybase, type AH, and yeah, now we can use the auction house. And so it's like a 200k function, but it pays for all that stuff. So I kind of recommend getting the cookie. Um, Plus the amount of times I've died, it's definitely paid off. Okay, so let's get into it. So when you start the auctions, you type or you get in the auction house. You got the auction browser. You got view bids. You got manage auctions. I'm just gonna collect really quick. Yeah. Let's see, and we'll start with auction browser. Unless you put a bid in, there's no point in using view bids because you didn't put a bid in, so there's nothing to view. And then manage auctions is where you would sell the item that you already bought, which we haven't bought anything. So let's go and buy some stuff on the auction house. So the first thing I'd look for, oh well, the first tip I'm going to give you is you need money. I have a purse of well, I have a purse of 10 million right now, which is okay for the auction house. Less like you could viably do 5 million for almost all the categories, but if you want to start as low as possible, I'd recommend getting at least like 2 million, maybe 3 million before you get started in auction house. And if you're going to get started with 3 million, just start with talismans because talismans are definitely like the easier flips to do for short, quick money. I'll give you an example, right? So this itchy candy talisman is probably worth like 50k. So, but it only costs you like 6k to get started, like buying it. This gravity talisman, I don't actually know how much that's worth, so I'm gonna skip it for now. But this wolf talisman would be worth like 300k right now. Usually it's 700k, but there's an event that dropped the price in half. Um, okay. So let's say I only had 2.5 mil, just do talismans like that. This piggy bank would be like worth 60k, right? So you could just like put a bid in the piggy bank and that would be a 40k profit. And you only invested, let's say like at most like 150k for 150k profit, it's kind of viable to do talismans. The other thing you could possibly do is books, if you know what you're looking for. Like, this is just an example. Let's look at Ultimate Wise books, right? Let's go to, I don't recommend this as a starting, because most people don't know what they're doing as far as getting books. Let's go lowest. So it's 150k. It's a little expensive for now, but let's say I bought two Ultimate Wise books, and then I merged them together to make an Ultimate Wise 2 book. Yeah, okay. So like the Ultimate Wise 2 books are going for 400k. So if it cost me 10k in XP potions to make an Ultimate Wise 2 book, and it cost me 150k per book, then I just made 90k. And that's another way. But otherwise, just the best categories for small cash: accessories. I guess the books are fine, and then pets is also viable for small cash, but you're gonna miss out on some things like that jellyfish. I wouldn't be able to buy if I didn't have much money, you know. Enderman, that's a little much. Bat, pigman. Well, okay, so let me yeah, all these are kind of expensive actually. Oh, that's why I was like, okay, yeah. So you'd always want to be on auction and ending soonest to find the best deals. Well, almost always, not quite. For beating heart, by the way, you can put a bid in. Sometimes those just get completely ignored, so you can make a few K that way. They used to be worth 50, but then at some points they dropped to like, let's say they dropped to like 5k, even as low as 5k. But you know, like when you're starting off, 5k is 5k, and if you only pay 100 for 500 for 5k, then that's easy money. Okay, so we'll just leave the rest alone. Okay, so let's actually get started. So let's say well, okay, so when I'm looking through talismans, we'll start with the easiest one first, or the best starting stuff first. I would always do ending soonest, and then auction only, and then I'd kind of try to like look at the rare or up, rare or epics. There are a few uncommons that are good investments too. This personal compactor I think is worth like 750k, but here's what you always do when you actually want to, because 2/3 of the time I don't know the actual like exact value. I know it's low, but I don't know how low. So I would look at the bin price by searching lowest and bin, and then I find out, oh, it's worth 750k, and that means that if I bid anywhere up to like 650k, I made a decent profit, right? So we would do that. Okay. Then let's do auctions again. So I can bid on this. I don't like bidding on things if there's still a lot of time left. I prefer being under like 10 minutes. That way I don't have my money tied up in something that might not pay off. Okay, so fish talismans can sometimes be good. Sometimes you can get them for like 10k and people won't even notice. The other one is feather artifacts. This treasure talisman is worth 1 million, and it's probably going to get noticed. They usually get noticed. So, but it doesn't mean they'll get noticed for the value they're actually worth, which is, let's say you type in treasure talisman. Okay. And let's say you're in a bidding war and it goes up to 500k. Do you keep bidding or do you not keep bidding? So just go lowest, and it's worth 998k right now, like basically 1 million, right? So you just put a bid in, and if you're at 500k, yeah, keep bidding. You still have like 300k play money to mess around with. So you could bid up to like 800k and still make 150k profit, which is really good. 150k when you're starting off, that's hecka good. You know, like you could bizarre flip 10 times and not make 150k. So yeah, totally. Let's look at armor here. So armor is something I usually go to when I don't have anything else to go to, but okay. So let's search by ending soonest and auction only. Okay. So I think the bat person chest plate's actually worth a little more, bat person leggings, but I'm not quite sure. So A few things you can look for when you're looking at armor. You look for legendary or epics. I usually just skip anything I see that's rare, common, or uncommon because it's just probably going to be a waste of time, like honestly. Um, there might be a couple items that aren't, but for the most part, yeah. So I just look for purple or yellow or gold or whatever you want to call it. And then I'm not sure what this chest plate's worth. I think it's decent, but I'm not quite sure. I know the shadow goggles are worth a lot, so let's check how much the shadow goggles are worth. Let's do ending soonest. Wait. Bin lowest shadow goggles. So it's not much of a profit. It goes for 950k, and I don't know why I typed in. Okay, I guess it's part of the shadow set. I think 950k might. Nah. Okay, there's 17 hours on it, which means it's been sitting for 7 hours at 950k. Nobody bought it, so I would say I'm not gonna buy those shadow goggles at 800k. We can type in the bat person just really quick. So let's say the bid passed by the 5 minute mark, because the 5 minute mark is where you won't see the bid anymore. It just at 5 minutes you just do ending soonest. Wait. Okay, ending soonest, auction only, right? And then if it's under 5 minutes, it just disappears. I'll give you an example. So let's delete that actually. So 5 minutes 21 seconds, right? And then you click here, 5 minutes 23 seconds. After it passes 5 minutes, you don't see it anymore. But it doesn't mean it's not there. So what you do is you type like bat person, you go lowest, you go ending soonest, you go auctions, but then it goes all the way to the back page. So that's where you'd find it if it's under the 5 minute mark. So there's 4 items that are bat persons that here, let's just look at the prices of them. Maybe we'll put a bid on if it's any good price. So let's do lowest, let's do bin. So 850, almost a million. So it doesn't really look like it's a profit. Yeah, every piece except the helmet is 950k resale value. And then, okay, so here's the thing you gotta keep doing. You gotta keep checking these. I didn't keep checking, so I missed out on the beating heart. That might have been a few K. That might have been like 50k. This one, I could put a bid in because it's probably, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save a few wolf talismans for when the event ends. The event being the mayor. The mayor's boosting the drop rate for rare items from mobs, from slayer mobs, so that's where this comes from. And I'll just save a few for when the mayor changes again, and it'll be worth a lot more. So it's worth putting a bid in. The resale value when the mayor's not up is 700k, so if I buy it now when it's 200 and I just sit on it for a little while. This, remember, we looked it up, 750. I don't want to pay 730k for 10k profit and just have to wait. So I'm just going to let that one go by. We still have plenty of time on these. We can keep bidding. Remember, this is a million, so we can just, I won't really bid until it gets down to like 2 minutes. I'm just going to wait and see. Because then I'm just tying up money that I don't need to. Okay, so we were on armor, right? We looked up bat person. I think there are already no profit in it whatsoever, but we'll double check on the ones that we're passing by. Yeah, that was 950. Yeah, they're already overpaying for every single piece here. So let's not bid on that. Let's not lose 200k. Okay, so it's always important to check. Always check. Unless you completely are confident in memorized items. By the way, this is like worth 5 million, so that might be a good profit if I don't get too outbid. Weapons. Let's just finish off with weapons and then we'll go back to pets. Weapons are probably the best money making idea. Well, okay. It's basically the more money you have, the bigger ticket items you can get and the better profits you can get. So basically, if you had like $10 million, $100 million, you could buy like a bunch of like good deals on like expensive weapons, and those are usually the ones that you might get a couple million on each one. And then you get like 3 good bids within an hour, and you might have made just like 5 million in an hour, like. So for example, this fabled, let's just take a look at this, right? So this fabled aspect of dragon, the base price of the aspect of the dragon without anything is 2.2 million. So it's already lower than that. And then you add full hot potato, that adds about 400, 500k to the value. So that's like 2.4, let's just say 2.4. And then you add fabled, that's going to be like a that's going to add like another 500k. I know it costs 1.5 mil, but because the aspect of the dragon's dropping like drastically right now, everybody's panicking and selling their aspect of the dragons, and so they're really cheap right now, and the amount it costs to actually enchant is not what you're going to get out of selling it. So it's probably worth about 3 million, right? This might be worth three something, 3.2 maybe. Might be able to sell it for 3.2, but I'd try selling it at 3, most likely just sell it quickly. But if I bid on it now and I get it for like 2.2, then I just made 800k. Alright, so we'll just we scroll through all these really quick. I just like all the others, I generally skip anything common and uncommon. But there are a few rares that are decent ticket items. For example, the aspect of the end. If you find it for under 120k, just auto buy it. It doesn't even matter what's on it, because it's just base aspect of the end. We'll check of the end. Should be about 165k or so. Let's do lowest. Let's do bin, right? So 160 right now, but this will probably sell pretty quick. It's only been there for 5 minutes. Same for Raider axes. The base price of any Raider axe is about 150k. So you can, well, okay. This one's going to sell quick. It's only been there for a minute. Yeah, it's going to sell quick. So if you find a Raider axe for like 100k, then just buy it. You can make 50k. It's easy. Okay, so then what else would you look for? Actually, let's double check our bids again. I probably missed some things. Yeah, I totally missed some things, but it's okay. Ignore this one. Okay, so this is probably something I'd make a decent profit on if I, like, these are the kind of things you can make decent profits on, but you gotta really know what you're looking at. So the Bonzo staff, base price is 2.2, I think. Well, it ranges between 2.2 and 2.7 depending on like the market. It fluctuates between those. So you just kind of check where the base price is, and that can also determine like what the enchants on it might be worth as well. So let's go weapons. Let's type in Bonzo. Okay, weapons. Okay, so you got 2.65 right now. So that means like the ultimate wise 5, the cheapest ultimate wise 5 is probably going to be like 5.2 right now. Sometimes it can be, okay, it's 5.8, so that's even better. Sometimes it can be like 4.8. I've seen it like where everybody's just trying to sell Bonzo stuff so one time, and then like it drops to 4.8. And you could buy them up at that point, or if you didn't want to wait, you just not do that. You wouldn't buy it. You just, so I'll bid one more bid, and if they outbid me here, then I'll just leave it alone. But at 4.6, that's really like kind of right now. Ultimate Wise 5 costs about 3 million, and it's always like considered like a desired ability on a Bonzo staff, so it adds pretty much 3 million in value. So 2 plus 3 is 5, right? Plus the full hot potato book. Well, it doesn't quite add 3 million in value. The Ultimate Wise 5 probably adds like 2.4 million. So, but minimum Ultimate Wise 5 Bonzo staff is minimum at 4.8 million. So, with the full hot potato and those enchants, this is probably worth like 5.5. So let's say I did end up getting it at like 5.1 or something, then I could get 400k profit. But right now it's not letting me. So this one, we might bid one more, probably not. Let's double check though. It is fabled. I'll bid once more. The fabled enchant costs 1.5 million, and it's totally worth it. It's a really good enchant, so that's why adding fabled adds value to your weapons, except for the aspect of the warped aspect of the end. Warped is the best by far. Okay, so so that's weapons. The general idea behind weapons is you have to have a lot of money before you actually start bidding on weapons to make money. Like the only things you can really make profits on in weapons is aspect of the end and Raider axe until you start getting like actual money. So the things you could start looking for in armor, well, unstable, can sometimes sell, but basically you look at legendaries and rares. Shadow Assassin's worth a lot, especially the chestplate. Um, but usually you won't find a deal on it because there's just been a YouTube video on it and everybody wants to buy it, so everybody's paying attention to it. You kind of want to look for more obscure things if you actually want to profit. Here's a quick flip if you want. You can buy like Ender gear, and at minimum they sell like 30, 35k each in bin. So you could always make like 20k profits here and there if like you just end up putting a bid in. And so the dark goggles sometimes pass by. Like I've gotten dark goggles for like 1k before, and they're worth like almost 100. But they're and that's like one of the few things that are rare that you can still bid on. That and like Bonzo masks. Let's see. Then you just find your own items. Wise adaptive leggings usually like 1.8, so I wouldn't bother with that. Yeah. I guess this is pretty much the run through. So basically, let's recap. Accessories when you're starting. You can do books if you know what you're doing. You can do pets. Okay, let's do some pets. So let's go auction house, pets. You just kind of scroll through. There's some items like that you can get that have a lot of value that are reforge items as well, and cakes. The base Griffinstone as well. That's pretty good. Um, but generally, what you'd look for is like rare or epic pet. Epic or rare, epic, or legendary pets, and then you just look up the actual price. Like, so let's say, for example, the silverfish. I don't think it's worth that much, actually. Like, even though it's level 58, I think it's probably going to be worth. I think it's one of the cheaper pets. So any rare you got was like 50k, right? And I wouldn't want to pay 100k for just 50 levels on a pet, so I just ignore it. Generally I just go by the base number unless it's like a really significant level, like let's say it was like level 80 and a legendary, because like the higher rarity the harder it is to level, and then I know like, oh, that's going to add a lot to its value, but 150k is too much by far. The sheep, like, see, that's a level 80 something sheep, so what you do is you just look up sheep, right? I mean, I already know I'm not going to bid on this, but I would just go lowest, bin, and then you'd look up legendary. The base price is going to be like 3.5. Yeah, 3 right now. And then you go to like level 80, right? And the closest level 80 probably is in the 4.5 mil range, probably. If you sold it for 4.5, that's probably the best you could get for it right now, in bin. And so I wouldn't bid on it just because I'm tying up way too much money for like zero profit whatsoever. Let's see. Stonks. Sometimes people ignore stonks, but they're worth 500k each. Yeah, I kind of just ignore any common pets. I always ignore common pets, but like there are some uncommon pets that are actually like decent at looking at. For example, the rookie hoe is always going to be the replenish is always worth at least a million, but I think it's actually worth a little more. I think it's like 1.5. We can double check by looking at rookie hoe. Let's go lowest. Let's go bin, and then I guess nobody's really. Okay, well, I would have looked it up, but it turns out that like maybe let's just type in hoe. Okay, and just see what happens. Okay, cool. So you got farming XP boost. I don't care. Farming XP boost. Don't care. I guess they aren't selling them. So, oh, I know why. It's because the replenish. Even though. Okay, so here's how we'll look it up. Replenish. Because it's on a hoe, the hoe value will be like really low, but the replenish actually costs a lot, so it's just not. Well, shoot. Okay, well, we can only look it up by auction. So let's do hoe, let's do lowest, and then let's look up auction, I guess. And then okay, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. We'll just forget this. But basically, the replenish cost a million. It costs a million to enchant, at least. Sometimes it's like 1.5. So I wish I could show you properly, but I can't. So to delete, you just right click on this, and then it goes back to the main screen, and then you just go ending soonest and auction again, And then, so that stonk was worth like almost 500k. This hoe I'm not going to bid on, but sometimes you can get it for like cheap because people won't notice. Necromancer Brooch is worth it. It's always worth at least 50k. God Potion's always worth 300 at least. As it is now. This Luxurious Spool is worth like 200. But these are the things, like, they're obscure, right? So people might not bid on it, but it's still worth 200k because the minimum bid price is going to be like 200k, right? So that means that, like, when it drops below 200k, you're going to be the first one that people want to buy when they actually do want to buy it. It is a little lower than 200k. I could do two things. I could just wait until like it goes 250k, or I could just sell a little slightly below them, or I could actually buy the 175k ones to try to resell, but I don't really want to. I would just be tying up my money for like barely any profit, so I'd rather just sell it lower. I mean, if I got it for $500, which I probably won't, but let's say I did, then it's almost 150k profit, and it doesn't cost me anything. So the other thing to look for is rods. Rods can always be good, but you have to. The tiger is always worth 100k because you get it from the zoo guy for like 100k, but usually they go for 200k. So you can just buy a tiger if you see it for like slightly lower than that. Okay, let's do rods. And Golem is usually worth a lot more than that, I think. Let me double check. Enderman's worth nothing as a rare. Let's type in Golem, right? Okay, so lowest, then bin, and let's go pets. And the cheapest is actually 599k right now, so that's kind of low for a Golem, but it is what it is. So I don't want to bid on that little Golem. I wish I had an example of something I could bid on to make a profit on stream, but as it is, I might not. Oh, we missed a treasure talisman, but it still went for 1 million, so it's fine. And that went for 100k, which is what it's worth. This is something we could bid on. Here we go. That's worth. We could bid on this too. We could bid on this and bid on. Oh, I'm still top bid. Really? Okay. Bid on the tight. Oh, no, I'm still top bid, and that was a mistake. I didn't mean to do that. It just happened. Okay. So let's do. I guess that's pretty much it, and then I would just kind of repeat. I'd try to like scroll through things to the 8-minute mark. That would give me a few minutes to scroll through everything on the other pages. And generally, I would go weapons, and then I would go pets, and then I would go, well, I'd go weapons, I'd go armor, but this is after you have a lot of money. When you're starting off, just start with accessories, and then maybe double check armor if you do want to, because you can make some decent profits without actually looking at armor, or without having to invest too much on armor. It's just a few pieces, like the unstable you can get for 100k, but sell it for 150, like almost always, except for the boots. So let's unstable, right? So let's do lowest, and then we'll go bin, and the boots are 120, right? But the rest should be well, I guess the helmet's 130 right now, but the chest plate 200k, right? The legs 200k. So you can, sometimes the unstable just ends up going for like 100k and nobody notices because they think it's just worth 100k for every piece, and it turns out that it's worth slightly more. So you can make a couple 100k, well, like 50k at least on those. And that's pretty much all I'm gonna talk about in this video. Let's go to view bids. So this is where you'd double check your bids, check every couple minutes if you're actually like in a bidding war. This is worth 800k, I know that much, so I'm going to bid 600 and I'm fine with that. This is worth like slightly more. This is good, I'll just leave it. And let's look up the Necromancer Brooch, just as an example. Brooch. Okay, so we'll do lowest, and then let's go bin, and the lowest right now is 75k, and that was just being sold, so it's probably worth at least 75k. So if I ended up getting this for 5k, for example, because sometimes they just pass by and nobody notices, then I would get 70k profit. Same for luxurious pool. This is 200k, so I would get 150k profit at least. Um, this is worth at least 100k, so I'd probably get 150k profit right here. And this would be, well, that's a mistake. Ignore that. That's not there. Okay, and that's pretty much all there is to the auction house. Then when you get your actual sales, you just put them up here. Click create auction, put your item in, auction some stone bricks, right? And then always do bin. Never do auction, because sometimes you got a really nice item, right? It's taking a little while to sell. Like let's say I was selling this Fable, blah blah blah. Oh, maybe I should just auction it. Don't. Just bin, always bin, because you're always going to get more for bin, and you might be selling a $10 million item and it ends up going for 4 million or 3 million because you used auction, and then you just lost $7 million. So always do bin. Okay, and that's the video. That's a wrap. So thanks for watching. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Subscribe. I always do like auction house stuff that I can on Twitch, and I'm starting to get into bridging and bed wars and PvP, so I'm gonna start off some new things pretty soon. So yeah, feel free to subscribe, leave a like if you found this useful, and thanks. I'm out. Peace.